Hi everybody, Havran here, and in today's video I have a comparison for you. The long-awaited lenses and recording modes and PL filters and frame rates and all the different stuff that I wanted to do and I failed to do properly the first time. So this is the second attempt to do it better this time, and I did. So in the first comparison I'm going to show you, you're going to see different, let's call it focal lengths. They are basically like virtual lenses within the GoPro settings. There's narrow, linear, wide and super view. And you're going to see in a setting where there are landmarks you can use to define the width of the video and also height, how that changes. So this is the first comparison of the same GoPro standard lens with different like setting lenses inside of like GoPro settings when you're trying to set up how the camera is going to actually shoot. So this is the first comparison. Here we go. Now, with the Skyrim Anamorphic lens, and I have it right here, with the Skyrim Anamorphic lens, there are basically just two settings that you can use. There's linear and there's narrow. Why only these two? Well, I'm going to show you. If you are going to use wide or super view, it's going to end up like this. So when using the proper settings for the anamorphic lens, you only want to have either linear mode or narrow mode. And these are the differences between them. Now, in the next segment, I need to first tell you a little bit about frame rates and shutter speeds. If you want to do a movie or a video, doesn't matter, if you're shooting something, there are basically two things that you need to keep in mind, and they are the different sides of one spectrum, and that is how crisp or how blurry you want to see your action on the screen. Because if you have, for example, a video game, you probably know that most of the video games try to have as high frame rate as possible. That's because the higher frame rate, the more crisp is the action, the less motion blur is in there, which is good for a lot of reasons. If you're, for example, shooting slow motion, you want to have your frame rate set up as high as possible, because obviously you need as much frames as possible in order to, when you slow it down, it doesn't look stuttery or jittery. But having extremely sharp picture is unnatural in some circumstances. So on the other side, you try to keep your frame rate at usually 24, 25 or 30 frames per second to have it feel naturally. Now, the thing is, if you really want to have a natural movement and blur of the image, you need to follow the frame rate by the shutter speed. And that is done in such a way that shutter speed is set up by something that's called a 180-degree rule. That means it's double what's the frame rate. So if I'm shooting in 25 frames per second, my shutter speed should be 50. Now, there's a catch. In order to have shutter speed set up to a set value, you need to think of a way how to decrease the amount of light coming into the lens, into the sensor, because the shutter speed is the way that determines how bright or dim is the picture. Now, that's where the ND filters come in. ND filters, or neutral density filters, are basically like sunglasses for the camera. In this set I have 4 of them: ND8, ND16, ND32 and ND64. The higher the number, the lower amount of light is getting through the lens to the sensor. And this is used with the 180-degree rule in order to allow the right amount of light hit the sensor, and thus allowing it to make the good, smooth, right amount of blurry picture, so it looks cinematic, not too crispy, not like a video game. So in the next segment I'm going to show you with the same settings, and now I went from the automatic to ISO 100 with 24 frames per second and 48 speed shutter. And all these were the same. 100 ISO for all, 24 frames per second for all, 48 shutter for all. The only changing factor was the ND filter. So let's look how it ended up. Now, in the next segment, I've tested 4 different frame rates in order to show you the normal speed, that was 25 frames per second. Then I went up to 50 frames per second, so we're going to see the action in like real speed, and then slowed like a half time back to 25 frames per second from 50. Then I bumped up the frame rate to 100 frames per second. You're also going to see slowing down from 100 to 50 to 25. And then the last one is going to be 200 frames per second, so that's going to be 200, 150, 25. And now let's talk about one of the features that is in these ND filters, and that's a PL filter. As you can see, there's a ring in here and I can move it, and you can see a little white dot that is moving. What does it do? Well, these ND filters have something called a PL filter in them, built in. That's a polarizer. What is polarizer? When you have a light that's coming in all directions from the sun, and it hits a flat surface with a specific like properties, and that means if it hits glass, if it hits like water, and surfaces like this, all the wavelengths that are hitting the same surface are getting polarized, and they are getting reflected in a very special way. I'm going to link a video in the description down below that explains it much better than I ever could. Alright, so I'm not going to bore you with my trying to explain this. I understand how it works. I cannot describe it better than the guy did already, because he has stuff that can visualize it, and I'm not going to spend an hour trying to draw something on a board or build something. Go watch the video down. It's amazing, I promise. Now, there are different types of polarizers. With these, I have a circular one. That means I can adjust it by rotating the ring, and you're going to see the effects of a polarizer filter turning off and on again on the water surface. So this is going to be very interesting for you. Obviously it's a little bit over dramatic, so you can see it better. In real life it's not used in a way like this. This is just for you to understand what it does. If you want to learn more about it, go watch the video down below. So these were just basic comparisons of 3 different types of lenses I have for the GoPro now. The original waterproof GoPro lens that the camera came with, and all the different settings I used with it. Then the Anamorphic from Skyrim, and then the ND/PL filters from Freewell. I hope you liked this video. If yes, please hit like, comment your questions down below in the comment section. Don't forget to share it with your friends if you thought it was helpful in any way. And if you could, please subscribe to my channel. It's helping me a lot to get to know that there's a need for me to explain this. Your likes, your comments help shape this channel into something that's going to be a big amazing thing in like 5 years or what. So I'm here for you, but I need a little bit help from you as well to build it together into something that is useful for you and fun for me as well. So see you in the next video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Cheers.